Welcome to the STARS program, seniors taking active roles in society. And now, here's your host, ANITA FINLEY.
It's funny how some people have names that are, I think they're make-believe sometimes because they're so appropriate for the person. And when I met Lauren Light, she's full of light. And I asked her, I said, did you make up that name? She said, no. It is good. Who was Light? Was that your family or is that your married name? Or
Yeah, my married name.
you probably married him because his name was Light, right?
Probably.
Well, you're right in the right business. It is a business to light the way for older adults because, we always talk about older adults who they worry, of course, first probably about their health and then simultaneously about their finances. And what you do, I think, creates better health and better finances in the long run. Because if someone, when they were younger, probably bought a home, they've been living in this home, maybe when their spouse passed away, and now they're facing, do I move? I can't handle this big house or this apartment. Do I move up to my family members? But then that's mind-boggling. Who is going to help them if they're alone?
Well, that's exactly the need that I saw within our community, and I created Next Step Senior Relocation so that I could help assist seniors that are all going through a similar struggle and help them to move into their next step and, to downsize, whether it be purging or packing, helping them to coordinate a big move. It's a very overwhelming thing for them. So I saw there was a great need for it, so that's why it was created.
And that's why it's Next Step, right?
Yes, exactly. It's
What's
their
the next step? Well, do you find that once they want to do this, that they do involve their family members or they do this on their own?
More often than not, I think that there are family members involved, and depending on the individual and, their capacity to physically be able to do for themselves or whether they can or can't, they're always involved in the process, but a lot of times their children are involved as well.
And would you say, and I'm just guessing at this since I haven't been in your business, the biggest problem is when they decide to move, what are they going to do with all their stuff? And don't dare call it junk.
Yes, that is definitely just about every client that I have is always worried about what to do with their stuff. They're overwhelmed. They have so much that they need to get rid of. They want to sell. They want to donate, and they don't even know where to start.
That's true. And so you have to do this in a very friendly way without insulting them. And they have to, I think they have to trust you first. Do you spend a little time when you first hear from someone and you talk with them? Do you spend some time getting to know them and they get to know you?
Absolutely. I like to always go out for a free consult and see what needs the client has. And almost always they're very nervous and they almost need the reassurance that it's going to be an okay process and that I'm going to help them to make it simplified and stress-free or as little stress possible throughout the whole process of moving.
And what are some of the stresses? What are some of the things that you get stressed over in doing this with them?
Well, it always helps. The biggest help would be somebody that does know what's really important to them and what they would want to take with them. More often than not, people are just totally overwhelmed and they haven't even thought about what they would bring with them. So I kind of help to organize their thoughts and think along those lines on what's to keep and what's to go. But that actually takes away a ton of stress if somebody kind of has an idea of maybe like a few different things that are really sentimental to them that are important to go. And, it helps a lot too if people want to donate some things and the more open the client is, the easier the process is.
Okay, but let's now talk about if you have a husband or wife that are moving. I'm sure that they have different opinions about what should be happening, right? And so how do you kind of collar them so that there's like one boss? And that should be you, really.
I try to make myself the boss, but without being actually bossy and listening to everybody's needs, but also being very practical so that we make sure that we do things efficiently and fair and, just make the most sense out of things during a time that can feel chaotic to people, especially people who are maybe arguing in different directions.
I was just going to say, that's right, some older married couples, because sometimes someone doesn't hear well. Someone doesn't, maybe they have a little bit of dementia.
Yes.
They're not thinking it's so the same. And so, when you think of it, this is probably the most traumatic, other than going into a nursing home or something, this is probably one of the most traumatic times of their life that they have to move.
Yeah, it's
Probably
very
a lot
traumatic.
of tears, probably a lot of, problems that have erupted that they didn't know about.
It's definitely a really emotional time for people. And I'm very, very sensitive to that because, having moved my own family members and experienced a lot of some of that situations myself, I'm real sensitive to people's feelings and how difficult it is for them. And I try to also make sure that the family members involved also understand how hard it is for the elderly to part with things, to decide what goes where, because it is a very hard thing for them to see things taken off the walls or packed in a box, not knowing who they can trust or where it's going. And that's why I like being, the middleman, that's the liaison between everything so that I can ensure that everything's going to go great and smooth.
So if someone is moving and they're local, they're moving from one place to the other, you have a lot of control because you work with the packers and then you work with them unpacking and you make sure that things get taken care of.
Absolutely.
I would think if they're moving up north, that's harder because you don't get to go along with that mover, do you?
I don't go with the mover, but we only worked with select movers. And we also can coordinate people up north due to the, how common it is for people to head back where they grew up in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, those areas. We work with other senior movers there if they need the assistance with the unpacking as well.
Yeah, because I also would say, let's just take an instance down here. I would think it's very important that when they move, now let's just say there's a lot of commotion going on, and the mover's coming in and the person's sitting there, and I would suggest, and I don't know if it's possible, get the person out, put them in a hotel for a day or two, and then when they come back, they walk into their home and everything's there. Have you ever tried that?
I've done that more locally than I have.
No, I mean locally.
Yeah, locally, absolutely. It is easier. Usually they want to be there and take part in it, but many times they're so thrilled to just see that it's a lot easier to allow somebody to take a little bit of that control and do a good job. But I always ask a lot of questions to my clients and gauge also different personality traits to make sure that, if they want that control, if they're done and they just don't want to be bothered with it at all, and kind of decide from there on what's best for them.
Right, because I was just thinking about this, that they probably would say to you, I just want to be able to sleep in my new home, and I want to walk in and, all their silverware, everything's where it belongs. And that's a good part, that it's not like you're coming in after the fact. You've been in their home, you see how everything is, and you probably either make notes or just in your mind, you know what it is. Do you have help that you like an assistant or someone that works with you on this?
Yes, I do. I have a nice team of women that I can always bring in for assistance as needed.
Right, because so now I'm just picturing this so that, let's say it's a woman maybe in her 80s and she's alone and she's never really done this before. I guess her husband was in charge. Let's just go with that. And now all of a sudden she's moving and she doesn't want to come in with a bunch of boxes and not know what to do. The best thing is for her to sit back, let you do everything, and come in, and then, she can ask, well, where's this? But you probably make notes where everything should go also.
Absolutely. They definitely take a lot of notes inside the home, what's to be when they move, the floor plans and everything in the new place if needed, to place furniture properly and everything like that.
Now I'm going to ask you a very strange question. Sure. Are you ready?
Yes.
When people pass away, a lot of times they've hidden money everywhere.
Yes.
And have you found money as you're trying to move them that they didn't remember?
Yes, we definitely find money. And it's something that, I've experienced sometimes people hide thousands of dollars within cushions and drawers. The underwear drawer is a personal favorite of many people because, it's been a lifetime of putting away. It's almost like a savings account. So.
No, well, and I know this is true.
Yes.
I myself I've saved money and I've put it somewhere, but I told my son and my daughter-in-law where it is because, I think everyone, and I think it's actually very smart. We've been told, in case of anything, you should have some cash.
Sure.
And so the problem is that, but everyone knows if it's a burglar, they know where to look, in the freezer and it's just what you said. But it's just, people have found money when their family member has passed away, and then sometimes they haven't found it, and it's gone because nobody knew that they put it anywhere.
Right. You don't want to donate your furniture or sell your furniture until you have looked through the couch cushions, absolutely, or boxes, shoe boxes, through closets, because, yes, that tends to be something that, people don't realize more often than not. A lot of things that are in one kind of box could be something else. So you really do want to go through each thing and see what it is.
So if you found, where's the strangest thing? Can you think about anything really strange other than freezers or, I'm telling you where mine is.
Probably more like in some of the hoarding situations, you can find just random things and collections of, like, I found a ton of office supply collections, like, hours and hours and hours of worth of sorting of tons of office supplies. So there was never going to be a time without a pencil or an eraser.
That is funny. So they have, yeah. And so do you let them have it again? You probably do.
Whatever
some of
it is that they want. A lot of times in those cases, it's when one spouse is left and they weren't aware that the other spouse had collected maybe a very large collection of something that they just, as they're older, they're not cleaning as much. They're not as involved in what's in the filing cabinets. And, so I help kind of sort through. We see what's there. We decide what to do with it and come up with a plan.
Wow. So sometimes maybe you're going to write a book about this. It's probably pretty funny, isn't it?
Probably. It's every day's different. That's for sure.
Right. Okay. So now let's go back to the actual move. And I want to give everybody your phone number. So if you're contemplating a move, even if you're not ready, why don't you call Lauren Light and then she'll help you think through it. Maybe she'll say you're not ready, or maybe she'll tell you really are ready and let's get ready for it. Next Step Senior Relocation. Next Step Senior Relocation, LLC. And Lauren Light is the president. And the way that you will get in touch with her is to call 954-298-6559. That's 954-298-6559. No, I did something wrong there?
It's 954
Yeah.
298 6658.
Oh, 665. Okay, 6658. I apologize. Okay, cancel all that. Let's start over again with that. Okay, so it's 954-298-6658. Right. So
Yes.
that's 298-6658. But you can also go to her website, which is nextstepsenior.com. Right?
Yes.
Nextstepsenior.com.
Yes.
Okay, so let's go back to the phone, 954-298-6658, nextstepsenior.com. It's a relocation process, and the process is confusing, so don't try to do this yourself. That's the big thing, and a lot of people do. They go through the trouble of maybe calling a mover. I have all these movers, funny names, my father, my brother, 3 boys, whatever it is. But you can't really rely on those people. And especially unless you've been in business and but even then, I know that I live in a condominium where the movers come in and out. And I always see problems. It's not my problem, but I'm listening. And these are people in their 50s and 60s. And either they didn't realize that you can only move from 9 to 5 on weekdays, and you see people standing out there. That's probably common for you, isn't it?
Yes.
So, you have to find out all these things.
Right. There's a lot of rules in different condos and things that you want to make sure you're not upsetting the rest of the building. And so it's just a lot of planning and coordinating.
Yeah, because I see people, I've seen them waiting out. It's 8 o'clock in the morning, and everything's ready to go. And then the security says you can't come in until 9.
Right.
and then there's a lot of hustle and a lot of upsetness, right? So that's one thing. What are some other things when you're planning? Is it well, also the elevators. You know, if there's some elevators, do you get to use? Do they close the elevator down? They should.
Right. Sometimes they'll have a rule where you need to put padding or ask for padding to be put in the elevators in your condo buildings so that your movers, can move things
Right.
in boxes.
And then there's a
furniture.
deposit that has to be put up.
Yeah, in some places there are.
Yeah, in case there's some problem. The other thing is if the person has sold their apartment or home and they have to get out at a certain time, sometimes if the person gets sick, something goes on, you handle that. Maybe you find a place for them to stay, or you negotiate with the person who's the purchaser. I guess you can almost do anything, don't you?
Yes, and I can help them to coordinate if they need to sell their property. Got some wonderful realtors that we work with that can help sell it for them. And I also assist families where if a loved one has passed and all of their belongings are still in the apartment, I assist them with packing up everything that they want, to be donated or sent different places or saved in storage, whatever it is that they need, I can help them.
It's funny you bring that up. I heard about a family who really didn't want to know anything about their mother, I think it was, who died. Just get rid of everything. Just, I don't care about it. Get rid of it. What would you do in that case? I mean, you have to make some big decisions.
Sure, you have to make some big decisions, but I guess if they really don't care and they don't want any involvement, they could hire help to have either, a lot. I always try to donate as much as I can possibly donate for clients. Or if somebody wants something sold, sell as much as I can sell. But then there are trash removal companies as well that we can have come in, but we try very seldomly to do that. That has to be a last resort.
The other thing that I've heard about are there certain kinds of artwork that people have no idea the value.
Yes, there are, and that's where we have people that do estate sales, and we have people that we work with that can come in and kind of give you an evaluation on what they think it's worth. They can, give you, I guess, a number, a range on what you might get for it in retail, and sometimes those same people will also offer to purchase it if it's something that the client is interested in doing as well.
Right. Big job. You must have a big Rolodex of a lot of names.
Yes, a lot of referrals.
Right. But it's. I mean, you seem like you're very gentle. You're a light, but yet they better do what they have to do because you must. You're responsible. And you've said this before. It's like your mother or father.
Yes.
Because you've been through a lot of family.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've lost both my mother and father at a very young age, so I've been through that pain, and I also have been a caretaker for my younger siblings as well as my grandmother. So I have a high sensitivity to family and treating people with the utmost respect and treating every client like if they were my own family member.
When I first met Lauren, that was very important to her. Because I asked her, why did you do this? Why did you get into this? And it was because she does care. And that's really important. See, a lot of companies now have big corporate entities and they take care of it. But when you're dealing with Lauren Light, it's her baby in a sense, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's something you feel
Absolutely.
very, very secure with. And it's really important that you need, no matter who you're dealing with, whether it's an insurance agent, I'm just talking now to our audience, make sure that you are on the same page as they are, that you have the same relationship. There are people who, they just like, even home health agencies, sometimes they send people in and there's no connection. And I always say you don't have to have that. Then tell the people you want someone that you feel good about.
Absolutely.
And that's the same situation with you. I think that you're in the right business, and I'm really happy that you're helping people. So I'm going to give the right phone number again this time. It's 954-298-6658. Remember, this is Pencil Talk Radio, so get your pencils out. For professional concierge services for senior relocation, 954-298-6658, and the website is nextstepsenior.com. So that brings up a good point for me to ask you, because that was one problem I had when I moved. they move everything, but then no one's there to set up the television, the internet, and all the things you need. You have to call someone else in. How do you manage that so when you leave, everything is ready to go?
We can hire somebody to help them with that as well and just make sure that it's taken care of and that they're satisfied. And a lot of that we find out first before the move itself, like what the client is going to need. And if there isn't someone to help them, then we can make arrangements for that.
Right. So you have a big yellow pad.
Yes.
I just keep looking at that yellow pad, and you make all the notes for everybody. And,
Absolutely.
And then they get to talk with you. It's funny. This would not be a business if you were up probably in Alaska or someone else. I mean, it's a good business down here because we have so many seniors.
Yes, we sure do.
And so many people. Now I was thinking about, I know you're senior relocation, but there are business women and men. And they can't take days off and time off, and you probably can help them also.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We do get some calls from people who are not seniors, and we could absolutely help just about anybody that has to relocate and just needs some extra helping hands.
Right. We all need that. When you're moving, you need a lot of helping hands. I mean, just think about for instance, the refrigerator. So now you're moving from one place and all the food's in the refrigerator. So
Sure.
What do? You put that in a separate pile and bag and get it over to the new place?
Yeah, if they're moving local and they're, or we try to have them eat as much as they can before they go.
I'm coming over for dinner, right?
Exactly.
Well, when you say are you dealing with mostly local moves or are you moving people up north?
A little bit of both. I mean,
Really?
it's definitely people that, especially after the hurricane that we had down here, there are some people that are looking to move to a non-hurricane zone. And then there's people that, their family is still up north, but several people are also here. They've been snowbirds and they're here to stay. They just need to downsize and, find an assisted living. Every situation's kind of different.
Right. So I'm sure it is. The phone call comes in and it's like, now what, right? What does this person want from me? Well, it's great you're doing this. And I would think if they're moving up north, that's more troublesome for me in my sense because here they've built up a relationship with you. And even though you say you know other people, maybe you need to, if someone has money, you ought to just accompany them and help them.
Absolutely. That's not, nothing is out of the question. I just want to make all of my clients really happy and comfortable.
Yeah, because I would think that they know that you're going with them and that, I mean, just picture this. You've been in, I mean, people are listening. Look around your house. Look in all your bedrooms. Imagine now everything's going to disappear. There's going to be nothing in this house. What are you going to do with it? Where's it going to go? Do you want to throw it out? Do you want to keep it? How are you going to even arrange your new living room? I mean, all that takes time. So do you kind of sketch out the way that you want? Because you can't wait for the movers. They have to know where things are going to go.
Right. Yeah, we plan ahead and we do. We plan the way the furniture will go, what's being taken and everything like that, depending on where they're relocating to.
Right. And I'm not even thinking if they're relocating to a assisted living or nursing, because that's different. They don't get to take very much to those places, just a little bit. I'm really talking about when they're going to downsize. People have some very large homes. They have, 4 bedrooms, and they're going to go maybe to a 2-bedroom condo or 2-bedroom townhouse. And that's really it's a momentous job.
Yes, for sure.
And they shouldn't even contemplate doing this. And your fee is not expensive compared to what could happen if they try to do it themselves.
Absolutely.
I mean, we've seen what happens with moving. There are a lot of moving companies, and they don't know them. I mean, they don't know them like you do.
Right. Absolutely.
And so, it's...
Yeah, I take pride in having a very trustworthy business that we work with people that we know and trust as well.
Okay, so let me ask you this. I think I asked this to you already about, do you have conflicts with family members who come down and with the family? Do you have a problem with that? I mean, I ask that because lawyers have lots of problems with the family members when they get in there talking about their wills and their trusts.
Sure.
Is it the same thing with moving?
Yes, there's definitely some conflict because people are paying for a moving service and different fees, and then You also have issues where the children have something in their head, but the parent they're moving has something else in their head. So we try to just take one small step at a time and make sure that everybody feels comfortable and satisfied with the whole service.
I was thinking about someone when they're moving, their mother or father. I want that. Who are you going to give that to? Can I have it? And then you have the siblings. And that's some big decisions.
Sure.
And I think actually the senior adults who are listening, it is a good time to give to your family members. Don't wait until anyone just gets to take what they want because you're not there. So that's another thing, when it's a good time because you're now getting rid of things. So put little stickies.
Yeah, sticky notes
right?
are great. Sticky notes are great.
About who gets this and who gets that, right?
Sure.
I know. I mean, I'm really experienced at this. I remember when we moved my mother from her, and I really helped with this with my husband, and moved from a retirement community, and we moved her to an apartment close to my home, and she spent the night at my house, so she didn't see all that. And when she came, everything was exactly the way it was in her house, and she had a little dementia. She didn't realize that she even moved.
That's great. That's a great story.
I know. Okay, Linda. I'm sorry, Lauren. That's great, Lauren. You're doing a good job for people. Lauren Light, and it's Next Step Senior Relocation, and it's 954-298-6658, and the website is nextstepsenior.com. Nextstepsenior.com. Relocation service. Thank you very much, Lauren.
Thank you.